Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I am your host, Rockin Robbie Bills, and welcome to PCP Movie Night. We are in week 3 of Horrorfest 2023, and tonight we're talking about one of the absolute most titillating films that I can remember from my childhood. Came out in 1988, and a horror comedy about an icon of horror. Tonight we're talking about Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Y'all know me. Big fan, love the Elvira comic books, love the toys, love the old shows, love everything about it. I'm surprised there's never been an Elvira cartoon. Can we please get on that, and maybe Manny can get a pitch battle together that somebody, the right person, is going to listen to and make that happen. However, Horrorfest has been super fantastic already this year. Over 50 movies, talked about across 3 channels and over 30 shows. And tonight, one of the most fun movies of Horrorfest 2023 with the one and the only Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, starring the legendary Cassandra Peterson. Speaking of legendary, we have a legendary panel joining us tonight, including my main man, first one who arrived. Brooks, what is up, my man?
What's up?
What's up?
Indeed.
You excited to talk about this one?
I am excited. This one
hell
was
yeah.
Like, I was kind of like, man, I hope this movie doesn't end up disappointing me. And it didn't.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Speaking of hoping it doesn't disappoint me and then actually surprised that it doesn't, it's the one, the only, Jelani. What is up, my man?
What's up? Station. How's it going? We're going to be talking about this movie, and I decided to bring my Elvira figure in. Say hi to. Hi.
Nice. We all have that same Elvira figure.
Everybody does. So,
yeah.
Surprised.
Well, there's a red dress one now. If you want to spend $20 more. Yeah. Speaking of getting the Christmas $20 more version, Perry is here. I don't know what that meant, but Perry.
I don't know. Hey, thank you for having me. And I'm with Brooks. I was like a little apprehensive to watch this because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. It's a comedy. Maybe it's not my cup of tea. But man, this was fantastic.
Fuck yeah. All right. When I sent out the list for Horrorfest, I guarantee I don't even think I hit send yet. And I got a message from this dude saying, I need to be on Elvira. It's my man Fable from One Collection Down. What is up?
Hey, shit. I don't have an Elvira doll. What the hell?
You're waiting for the Transformer.
Yeah.
The boobs pop off and they're like 2 mini robots like Ravage and fucking Laserbeak or something.
The blow up edition.
Oh yeah. Oh man, and I think we all know why there wasn't an animated series. I mean, come on, Rob.
I mean,
like 8 years old.
I don't know. There was an animated series for Rambo, for RoboCop.
True.
Beetlejuice.
Oh man.
I think the world is still primed for an Elvira animated series.
Hell yeah, man.
But what I think we're more primed for is a Mike animated series. So let's welcome Mike to the panel. What is up, my man?
What's going on, everybody? Got my VHS ready in the background. So ready for this movie.
First time I watched this movie was at VHS, my man.
Yep, this is the first time I watched it.
Not that exact one. Maybe it was. Did you get that at Barry's Video?
No, this came from
Dick and Dots.
Dick and Dots.
You gotta be kidding me. That sounds like some bullshit, like made up video rental. What the fuck?
Over there off Maston Lake. It's now I think it's a barbecue place now.
I never went to Dick and Dots, and if I did, I thought I was just getting beads of ice cream.
Yeah, like the porno version though.
Dick and Dots.
But yeah, it was I was looking into this. A lot of the cast was on Pee-wee's Playhouse. So
yeah,
we did get some of it, but not. There was never an Elvira cartoon. There should have been. So
right. Mike, you are having some connectivity problems, at least from my end, that I can see. Just so you're aware, it's not super bad, but it's there a little bit. There's a little bit of a stutter. Super excited for everybody to be here. I'm glad that Mike has that VHS, which I'm very, very fucking jealous of. Just so everybody knows, like I'm like super jealous of that VHS because as I was telling the gang before we went live, I knew who Elvira was, but I had never seen Movie Macabre. right? Now, she got her start in LA television in the regional area. She was a horror hostess. She created her character, Cassandra Peterson did, based on Vampira, right? She was Elvira. She actually got sued by Vampira during, like, there's some bullshit, but whatever, right? So she creates this character. She's in like a part of a comedy troupe or whatever. She creates this character. She takes it. She becomes a horror hostess in the LA area with Movie Macabre. I didn't have access to that shit till decades later. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe they would rerun them sometimes on like USA or TNT or something like that. But I knew who Elvira was because she was on all these damn commercials. Her cardboard stand-up was in every grocery store, every video store. Coors Light, that's why I still have that thing. I like one of the grails of my collection is the Coors Light Elvira standee. Like, I want that so freaking bad, y'all. And I know exactly where it's going to be, and I'm going to set up all these VHSs around it. It'd be great if I had an Elvira VHS. But I remember, Mike, going to the video store and seeing that cassette finally show up and just begging my mom to let me watch it. And my mom and my stepdad would let me watch most horror movies. If it was rated R, they would like watch it with me and they would make me turn my head at certain moments. Like I watched Basic Instinct when that shit dropped on VHS. Like my parents didn't care. I had a big screen window too. So I would just look at the window and get the reflection. You know what I'm saying? But this was a movie that I was like, all right, Robbie, you're cool. It's PG-13. You and your friends can have your sleepover and you can rent this movie and play Nintendo to your heart's content and watch this movie. And ever since then, I've loved this character. I've loved Cassandra Peterson. I am such a fan. She is not just a horror icon. She is a queer icon, especially now that she's come out. But even before then, there's so much camp. There's so much drag queenism in Elvira that I just fucking love. In fact, RuPaul still does the line all the time when someone says, "How's your head?" You're supposed to say, "Never gotten any complaints," right?
Yeah.
Any fucking complaints. So I love this movie. It is super nostalgic to me. And yes, just like Brooks, I was hesitant to revisit it. Just like Perry, I was hesitant to see how it ages. However, I watched this movie twice this week. I watched it Friday night. I watched it again today when I was doing FOC. So if I fudged up my numbers on Amazing Spider-Man or some other Captain Marvel bullshit like that, it's going to be Elvira's fault. Blame Elvira tonight is what we're going to say. But I love this movie. Held up immensely well on the rewatch. It is ridiculous. It is sexy. It is irreverent. It is crude. It is rude. And it is just utterly 80s stupid fun. And oh my God, we need more movies like this today, is what I would say. Brooks, you were a fan back in the day, hesitant to rewatch. Tell us about it. What do you think overall about Elvira? And you out there in the chat, we appreciate you being here. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I remember Elvira, like, you know, like you were saying, like she was in commercials back in the day. You know, she was a popular standee at like liquor stores and grocery stores. Like, you know, she was in the public consciousness for a while, but you know, I didn't know about Movie Macabre or any of that stuff either. And the movie was actually the first time I'd actually seen her in anything. And I remember watching it like back in the day, like, you know, cause like during Halloween, you know, they'd run movies like this. And my mom loved to watch horror themed movies on Halloween. And I remember watching this movie and liking it a lot. And I didn't remember a whole lot about it, but I did remember thinking it was funny. And on the rewatch, it's still pretty damn funny. Like, this movie reminds me of like a Rodney Dangerfield movie. Like, it feels like, you know, you could actually substitute Rodney Dangerfield in for Elvira in this movie as like, you know, a dude who just like works in entertainment, but then like pisses off his boss and then like bets everything on this LA show, but oh shit, he doesn't have any money. And like the way she acts, like her attitude and everything kind of feels that way too. You know, she's kind of crude. She's very, she doesn't really seem to fit in with like a lot of places she goes. She's kind of like an odd, like she doesn't have like any supernatural kind of like things other than, you know, her appearance. But she just, you know, I think the lady at the end described her best as like a pinko heavy metal weirdo. But she's also like, I think like the thing that makes Elvira attractive is like she's a very attractive woman, obviously, but like her humor is what really shines. I think I love her sense of humor. I love her expressions, the eye rolls, the constant boob jokes. It's just it's timeless. You know, the comedy is just timeless.
Absolutely. And like what you just said, the constant boob jokes, the irreverency of it, the comedy of it sounds like Jelani's fucking dream. So Jelani, why don't you tell us what you think about Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and what's your history with the character?
What can I say, man? I like boobs. Yeah, I've known Elvira since I was a small child, man. I saw the Coors ads. I saw all the stuff for the Super Bowl. She did a whole bunch of stuff, man, when I was a little kid, and I was like enamored with her. Like I was just surprised.
We were all like those kids, by the way. Man. Perry, you're a little bit younger than us. We were those kids in the movie that were helping her fix that house in one goddamn
yeah, we'll do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We would do
grab a tool and start banging.
Like,
I'll push your car.
Yeah, I'll push your car. I'll do whatever you want, girl. Do it, whatever you say. It was, yeah, I'd follow down the street. She sticks out like a sore thumb. I was trying to remember the other movie this reminds me of, but Doc Hollywood comes to mind for this. You know, just a person comes from a small town.
Oh my God, Doc Hollywood! I haven't thought about that movie. In forever, Jelani. Oh my goodness.
Doc Hollywood. It's like mixed with Doc Hollywood and something else. I was trying to remember what else it would be, but it's got like
a little Andrew Dice Clay's movie, maybe. What is it, Ford Fairlane or whatever? A little bit like that. A little bit of that in there. Yeah,
it's got the tongue in cheek thing going on. It's always been like a goofy, just a slapstick movie, and Elvira carries it well, surprisingly, because like you'd expect, I expected to hate this, but I've seen pieces of this movie as a child. I never saw this like ever. Like I think this is my first time.
This is your first time watching it all the way through.
Watching beginning to end, all the way in. I do remember the tassels. I remember the tassels very well. I remember the guy she was chasing, and she throws the shoe and it hits her and it hits him in the head. I remember that guy well. I remember that Mrs. Poole from the Valerie show was the bad guy.
Yes,
she was like in here, and I was like, I remember all.
You went older than Hogan's Family, bro.
Yeah, Valerie, baby. I remember Valerie. That's my age.
She's also in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
She's in Bueller's Day Off.
The assistant, right?
She's the righteous dude.
Yeah. But I was like, man, I remember all of this. Like it's pieces of it, but I don't remember watching all of it together. I just remember all of this, and I remember Elvira, and I've always remembered Elvira. she's just one of those iconic feature people. She's like the Rhonda Shear Up All Night kind of situation. She mixed with Billy Bob Briggs, how she's making fun of these kooky movies. Joe Bob Briggs, excuse me. I don't know why I keep messing up his name, but it's a very kooky movie. That's all I can say. And like she carries it with her gigantic boobs. I don't know what it is. It's like boobs.
Just so everybody knows, I told the panel that boob jokes were okay after 5 minutes, because that's what this movie is one big boob joke. And I mean, come on, y'all. Of course we loved this movie growing up in the 80s. Now, Perry, you did not grow up in the 80s.
No, I was born in 93.
You're born in 93, a little bit after this movie's time, but this was your first time watching. I'm really curious, man. What'd you think?
I mean, it's a lot more than just a pair of boobs. It's a nice set of legs too. Am I right?
Exactly. And two simple words to describe it. Any words, as long as they're simple.
No, I sat down to watch it, and I actually had my girlfriend watch it with me. And like 5 minutes into it, we both looked at each other like, "This is kind of funny," It was like this whole ride of the movie that it was just funny, and I really enjoyed seeing her go from like LA to Massachusetts and seeing like the little mayhem that's happening along the way. All like these little things, because I'm like, all right, it's a horror movie, so like there's got to be some horror aspects, and I wasn't disappointed at all. I felt like they blended the comedy aspect with like the spooky horror stuff like perfectly. It really developed who she was as a character, because she was on TV before, right? So like I don't know anything about her before, but just like watching this movie, you instantly know like, okay, this is a very memorable, iconic character, and very unique individual, you know. And yeah, I really enjoyed how funny this was. I wasn't expecting it to be like funny as hell, you know. Like I was laughing, like there were so many like little one-liners. Like she's so quick-witted with things that it just you can't help but laugh, you know.
Like when she first meets what's her name from the Valerie show, and she's like, why I never, and you never will with those soup cans in your head.
yeah, you know, she roasts everybody, but everybody's always pre-judgmental towards her, so she dishes it right back out. She's like, if you're gonna be like that towards me, you better be able to take it, you know.
Nothing gets her down. That's the best
that's
part.
what I like about her.
Right.
Everybody comes at her and nothing, and it's like, what a great character that is, you know. Like I aspire to
burning
be
her
like
the stake.
We all aspire to be Elvira. A horror icon, a feminist icon, and a queer icon, and just an icon in general. Speaking of icons, Fable, my man, with the last IG show this upcoming week, the best IG show is moving to YouTube, trying to like take over the territories. That's what's happening here, man. We got Vince McMahon Jr. showing the fuck up on YouTube all of a sudden. Fable, I know you're a fan. What do you think about this movie? What's your history?
I'm not really quite sure how I ran into Elvira the first time. I just know she's always kind of existed in my world as a child. I don't know how, but yeah, I've always loved her. Obviously, she's beautiful, right? You're a young kid, you're a young boy. She's hot, and maybe I have a thing for ghoulish looking women because I thought the same thing about the monster. What's her name?
Lily
and Lily Munster and Morticia Adams, which
Fable's got a type.
Yeah, right.
Morticia.
So,
No shit.
Yeah, big boobs, black hair. I don't know, something. But she.
Me and Fable at a bar, and a ghoulish woman shows up. I'm looking at him like I saw her first.
Even the girl from Night of the Demons before she went all freaking demony and shit. I was like, hey. How you doing? But anyway,
and she does that dance and everything. Oh my god!
So, yeah, I've always loved her look and everything, like you guys said. But after you get past the looks, she's just a cool ass person, right? Like down to earth. Why is everybody so uptight? You know what I mean? Like, let's have a good time, kind of personality. And after a while of watching her stuff, it's more like she's like an aunt, like that cool aunt that you want to hang out with. You know what I mean? She just gives me that vibe. So I've always loved her, and when this movie came out, I'm pretty sure I either went to the movies or I rented it the first time it came out, and I loved it. A lot of these jokes went past my head though, I'll tell you that much, because I didn't get the whole, and it's silly because you should get it. It's so obvious, but when like he's seeing the sausage and he's like, does this remind you of something? And I'm like, holy shit. I don't remember that.
I lost it when she dropped the hot dog and she was driving.
But yeah, man, no, I've always loved Elvira. I don't remember how she came into my world or whatever, but I've always loved her. I've thought she's always been funny and beautiful. Absolutely, man.
And the movie held up for you?
It can be a little corny sometimes, but I love it. You can't, you know what I mean? It's a lot of nostalgia for me. It's in that same vein of Bill and Ted and all those movies from back in the 80s. Where
campy is a good word, right? Corny has a negative connotation, but campy has like a positive one, right? It's like it's campy because it's intentional. Corny is not intentional. Right.
But I mean, her personality, her charisma carry you through the movie. You know what I mean? You just love her. You just want to see her win.
Fuck yeah. Speaking of wanting to see them win and a little bit corny, Mike, what do you think about Elvira? What's your history? What do you think about the film overall?
I remember seeing this movie in the late 80s, early 90s, like 5th or 6th grade. And a lot of the jokes went over my head at the time. But then again, I'm going back and watching this and like, man, I can't believe I was allowed to watch this. So... But we're talking to Robbie today. Hey, we're talking to Robbie today, and the same thing. I said the same thing about Mrs. Poole, but I said from the Hogan family, not Valerie's house. So, but I don't remember her name like from anything. It's just that's all I remember her from.
It's something
She'll always
O'Toole,
be.
right? Right? Is that her name? Something O'Toole?
Edie McClurg. McClurg?
Where the fuck did I get
Yeah.
O'Toole from? I don't know, but okay. Never mind.
But yeah, it's a fun
Righteous
movie.
dude.
I never saw it in the theater. I saw it straight in the VHS. It's campy, it's sleazy, but it's fun. It's a good movie. I can't believe people were going to look like. For some odd reason, when I was going through cleaning up, and I found the VHS, and I was like, man, I really want to watch this. And so I found it on YouTube and watched it. And then like 3 days later, Robbie puts up the list for Horrorfest. And I'm like, dude, I got to do Elvira. I just watched it. So, and then I love this movie, but also hate this movie because one of the products that they have throughout the whole entire thing is apple slice. I don't know if you noticed that
What's
or
wrong with
not.
apple slice?
Yeah, I noticed that shit. It was
the
making me
drink of choice
miss
is
it like a
apple slice.
motherfucker, dude.
Because slice is gone. You can't find apple slice anymore. Or slice.
Yeah.
Orange slice, apple slice, that shit
You
was
go with
the,
slice.
that was the shit, y'all.
Like,
Jelani,
that
do you
was
remember at the
good
movie
stuff.
theater where we found an old box of like orange slice syrup and we like put it in the auxiliary
Yes!
fucking concession
Yes!
stand and the employees drank on that shit for months, bro. It was so great.
Yo, I forgot about that,
And
man.
none of us died,
Slice is
so we were
good.
good.
None of us. Surfs forever. I don't know what you're talking about.
But I just
It
miss.
should-
It's like
forever.
I miss the slice. Like it's all the different flavors that they had, and apparently they're bringing it back, but it's not. It's more sparkling water than it is a soda. So, but it was very cool to see that old slice and this 80s 90s nostalgia right there for you.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Product placement too.
I
Mhm.
appreciate that nostalgic bit because this is a
Surprisingly,
nostalgic
of
movie,
course.
and that apple slice was a big fucking part of it, dude. I'm not even kidding. Like I saw that, like they're at the orgy, the picnic orgy, where they're all drinking apple slice. Right? Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it wasn't the concoction that Elvira brought to the potluck. Maybe it was the apple slice. Maybe that's why they discontinued slice. They were like, people getting way too freaky, man. Like, like we can't have this going on. Let's talk about the cast. And I don't want to make it easy for y'all. So I'm going to do the cheap thing and be like, I'm going to pick Cassandra Peterson as Elvira because everything we've already talked about, she's iconic. But I want y'all to stretch. Outside of Elvira, what's a character / performance you want to highlight? Brooks, kick us off.
Well, I'm gonna take everybody's. I'm gonna take the casserole demon. That is an impressive puppet. Like
yeah.
when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's actually pretty damn good for like, just this goofy movie. They have this puppet. He's moist as fuck. He looks like
Yeah.
super gross.
He looks genuinely disgusting. It does.
Like I'm disappointed when at the picnic he didn't pop back out. I'm like, oh yes, the fucking casserole demon's coming back.
Instead, it's just a chicken casserole
Yeah.
that gets everybody super fucking horny.
No, she
She's
sticks her
substituted
finger in the
to have her
casserole.
help
That's
her.
so gross.
Yeah, she dug her
So
finger in
gross,
it.
dude.
Why?
That's worse than double dipping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The casserole demon is a really good pick, man. That was one I had on standby just in case, man. What about you, Jelani? What's a performance you want to highlight?
Gosh, I guess I'm taking the uncle then, because man, those teeth.
Nice.
Good lord, I couldn't stop staring at his teeth, man. Every time his teeth changed, I was like, "Oh my god, what's wrong, man? Brush, do something!" And then he got eviler, and his
You
makeup
saw that,
got
right?
crazier.
He kept morphing and everything.
I'm like,
He got
His
worse.
teeth got worse. It was so much work. It was so much work, and I liked his powers. I'm like, but dude, technically you have the book. You got what you wanted. Technically, all you gotta do is stand around and wait for the eclipse to happen, and then do what and be the master of the dark. Yeah, that's all you gotta do. But no, I gotta go chase Elvira around and kill her. Like,
It's like, why is he so mad at her?
I'd be like, why is he so? Yeah, she didn't do anything.
It's
wrong
like he
other
just
than
pops
hide
up,
the book from her.
Elvira!
When he first met her, she shoved his face right into her breasts. And that was just too much for this dude because I think he's a closet dandy, is what I honestly think. And I think it bothered him. But I'll tell you what, no matter what your sexual orientation, if Elvira puts your face between those titties, I think you're a happy person. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's like pillows.
In real life,
It's got to be like
alike.
pillows, man.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll walk alike.
We gotta do another tape. We got another tape.
Is that the catch of the day?
Yeah.
Good pick, Delaney. He actually chews up the scenery, does a great job. He's got that crazy eye thing going on. He's like Mads Mikkelsen before Mads Mikkelsen, man. What about you, Perry? What's a performance you want to highlight?
I'm gonna go with, I think her name is Chastity, the soup hair Karen, when she was at the orgy picnic and she went above that guy and lifted up her skirt. I was like, no, she isn't. No, she isn't. And she sat on his face. Oh, bro, that was insane to me. I was like, there's no way that's gonna happen.
Any of that. I didn't get any of that when I was a kid. Like, this is the first time I got it. And I'm like,
why is she trying to suffocate him? When you're a kid, you're like, why is she trying to suffocate him?
Yeah,
it don't make no sense. She's wrestling. They're wrestling.
I thought they were just hot. That's what I thought. I thought they were hot or something. Like they had to take off their clothes or they were just getting too hot. And they were just bugging out, dancing. Like
this casserole is so good, but it's making me so hot. It was making them hot.
She went back for seconds.
It was making them hot. You just didn't know what hot meant in that connotation.
Right.
Speaking of hot, Fable, what you got, man?
I'm gonna go with Bob, man. Bob, right? That's his name, the boyfriend.
Dreamy ass, the himbo of the movie, Bob.
Yeah, I'll go Bob. He's so innocent. He's so cute. He's such a gentle giant. But he's smart too, because at the end of the movie, he kind of he puts on the game. Like, hey yo, you know what I mean? I don't know what he told her, but he kind of saved the day with the info. So,
because the first time that she was throwing it at him, he was all like, "Oh, I'm so hungry."
Yeah. Yeah. And plus when he had the neck brace, he changed his voice. He was like,
Yeah.
So I thought he was doing a pretty good job at playing that, big, kind, gentle giant. So yeah, I'll go with Bob. Plus give it to Bob for having the restraint of not being all over Elvira. I mean, you gotta give it to him for that.
He's like
the only dude in the movie who's not.
And it's the only dude she wants.
Yeah, right.
Maybe that's why. Maybe one of the lessons of this film is keep your hands to yourself, and maybe they'll want to put their hands on yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
I got something to show you.
I was 6 inches away from selling this house.
Oh, that was great.
What about you? That means he was fully erect when she when he was all up on her, man. Speaking of fully erect, Mike is fully erect right now as we speak. Why don't you tell us about a performance you want to highlight?
I'm going to talk about Gunk, the dog.
Yeah.
That everybody loves the dog. That's cool that he's I can't remember what he's actually called.
Familiar?
But essentially he's a shapeshifter of sorts.
Familiar.
Yeah, familiar.
There we got it.
Yeah.
He's Wormtail, basically.
Yeah.
He's Salem from Sabrina.
Mm-hmm.
So I like how he went from a plain poodle to a BA poodle with the pink mohawk. Looked tough. Looked tougher than he did when he was a Rottweiler. So or a Doberman, I can't remember which one. But yeah, that's it was fun to see that character because, I mean, granted the fact it is an animal, but it hit the book. It was protecting the book. It was kind of the in a way being a guide outside of the dreams that Elvira had. So, it's a fun little character to watch. So,
yeah, absolutely.
You don't expect, like, the dog plays a big role in the film. So I mean, it's guardian, it's protector. Like he even goes up against the uncle.
Yep.
Like, and Bob he always looked like the brawny man in the paper towels.
Yeah,
Yes.
he does.
That's perfect.
I was like, if I can't remember that dude's name, I'll just be like the dude that looks like the brawny man. So.
Yeah, I love all of those characters. Great performances all the way throughout this movie. But let's talk about the style and structure of this film. Now, it is directed by James Signorelli, who is really famous for being a segment producer of over 400 episodes of SNL from 76 to 2011. And I do believe this is the last feature film that he did. I know there was a little bit of contention between like his way of doing things and the writers. Cassandra was writing with one of her writing buddies and friends, and they had ideas. He had ideas. They ran out of money when they were making this movie. So like the studio's like, we're out of money. You can't do the bit where she goes to Vegas. The movie's going to end with her just like saving the day and recognizing that everything's okay. And then Cassandra was like, no, we got to have this money. They basically begged for the money to finish this movie, have that Vegas scene. Without the Vegas scene, it goes down a half of you dig for me. Without the titty twisting going on, this going like, I mean, that movie's ingrained in my brain.
The final act.
I mean,
all the boob jokes were leading up to this moment.
I remember being slightly disappointed when I was a kid that this movie didn't have nudity, right? But then as you grow up and the internet came around, we were able to see Cassandra Peterson nude, right? We could see old photos. By the way, she was like the youngest Vegas showgirl ever at 17 years of age back in those days.
Wow.
But we also have Elvira porn parodies now. So a lot of those itches have been scratched, right? So I was actually like, this time I was watching it, I was like, I actually appreciate the way that some of it's toned down, but still not. And I appreciate it so much because this is a movie I got to watch whenever the fuck I wanted to when I was a kid. I could rent this from the video store anytime. So I cannot tell y'all how many times I rented this, Sleepaway Camp 2, and which was rated R. I would rent this, Sleepaway Camp 2, and the Friday the 13th NES game all the damn time, y'all. Like that shit was like ingrained in my head. I love this movie. I love this character. The movie is very simple. It is not stretching far as its structure or what it's trying to do. It's predictable. It's obvious, but for its time, for its budget, I think it looks really good. And the performances and that script, those jokes within that script. Yeah, it may be a cookie cutter kind of movie script, right? As far as the structure and the outline of it goes. But those jokes, they slap and they work. And every single one, whether she's dropping a hot dog between her fucking boobs or whether she's like saying like, you know, I've never had any complaints about my head or anything else, it freaking works. It works for me. And the movie ages very well for me. If they made this movie today, I do think it would be not quite PG-13, but man, mostly for the is this face taken bit. Could you imagine that in a PG-13 movie today? I don't know. What about you, Brooks, though? What do you think about the style and structure of this film?
I think it's good. It's like, it is very, very much a kind of late 80s, early 90s comedy throughout most of the movie. But it also, you know, like later on, it incorporates like aspects of, you know, the kind of cheesy horror movies that she was known for lambasting in there. Like, you know, like I love the, you know, the arm through the wall jump scare and all kinds of like, you know, the puppet, like all kinds of like, you know, just stuff that you remembered seeing. And like, you know, when she walks in the room and then the close up on her face, it's like the beginning. It starts out as like, you know, just a pretty typical like fish out of water comedy. And then it kind of goes into like it's still a comedy, but it's also like an homage to like, you know, the kind of cheesy horror movies that we used to watch back in the day because, you know, we didn't have anything better. And because, you know, it was actually kind of fun, you know, to just, you know, make fun of all the crappy effects and you know, the tropes.
Yeah. And I love the references in this movie, like you were kind of alluding to, right? Like I in particular, I love the flash dance and the Carrie homage that happens at the same time. Like I fucking love that because we get a lot of nice ass shots there too from Elvira's double, I believe. I don't think Cassandra was doing all those flips and shit. You know what I'm saying? What about you, Jelani? What do you think about the style and structure of this film?
Oh my God. To me, this movie's all over the place, but it does start off as like a lighthearted comedy. It really does. Like fish out of water. And then you get into the town, and then all the crazy junk happens pretty much after that. Like, how you burn this? I'm sorry. How's this town like not going to jail for like trying to burn a woman at the stake? It was so weird. And like, what changed their minds for
I
them?
know.
Like, hey, we're okay
No,
with you now.
they
We missed
they
that
locked her
whole
up with
section.
Gonk.
Yeah,
Gonk was
her
locked
with
up with
Gonk
her.
in
Well,
the.
the burn at the stake thing was
Like,
because it was a
what
law.
second?
It was an ancient law that was on their books. So like it was a law that just had
And it
never
was
been,
like,
you know.
we can arrest her. Yeah,
It's like as long
put
as
her
you
in
can
jail
prove
now and
somebody's
burn her
doing
at the stake.
witchcraft, you can burn them
Exactly.
It was
legally.
like, oh, that's wild.
The 80s were just a different
That's a-
time, Jelani. You know what I'm
Different
saying?
time.
Yeah, I guess it was, man. But it's such a great.
Don't you miss
It's
the
still
80s when you
goofy
could just
too.
burn a witch with no repercussions?
And their
oh, that
dog.
person, oh, that- yeah, and their little dog too. Oh God, and he made that joke. I forgot all about that too. But yeah, I like the picnic orgy. There's just so many.
Who doesn't
stupid
love a
things
picnic
that you're just
orgy?
like, why is this? Who doesn't love picnic orgies? And the comedy is on point. I was so very surprised the structure of this film because of the comedy. It helps it out. I don't know what it is. Like I said, for all intents and purposes, I'm supposed to hate this movie. I'm supposed to be trashing
Right.
the shit out of this movie, but you just can't. It's just like it's you're laughing like in parts where you're like, why am I laughing here? Oh God, this is funny. You know, it reminds me of Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Like that movie is just I should hate it, and I'm pretty sure I did in some parts, but I don't know what it is. Estelle Getty carried that movie, man, and there's just something about just lighthearted comedies that are in here, and you throw some boobs in, and you've got a sophomoric back to school
Yeah,
movie.
you throw in some
Pretty much.
Elvira boobs, or you throw in some Sylvester Stallone ass, and it makes it work,
Yeah.
man. That's what
You
happens.
just make it work. And somehow you just throw the sex appeal in with the comedy, and it just turns it into a whole different beast. And I really enjoyed it. It was quite like it went by rather quickly for me. So I really enjoyed that part. It feels like a blast. Like you're just like and then the tassels. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
have to keep going. It's
Speaking
very
of
hypnotizing.
coming by very fast at the climax, Perry, why don't you tell us what do you think about the style and structure, and then take over the reins of the show? I got to dip out for just a second.
All right, style and structure. I think it was real stylized and structured. And great pacing to it. I like the start. I like the gas station scene. I thought that was great. Where we see this guy, and he's like, he can't be bothered, and then boom, before you know it, he's blowing up into bits. And she could care less. She's just like, just rolls off her shoulder, you know. Mike was talking about the dog as his favorite character, and I liked how I just like put it together in my head. When we see them breaking into her house, you see the dog in the shadows, the Rottweiler, but then the little dog comes down the stairs. It's like a little foreshadowing, like, yo, this is the actual familiar. I just like, that's cool, man. But yeah, no, I thought it was structured pretty good. It kept my my attention. The comedy, it felt like she just let all her intrusive thoughts out, just like she wasn't holding anything back. And I feel like at times, I wish I could be like that sometimes, you know? And it's just like, I wish I could say whatever the fuck I want to say at times. And it's just like, it's cool to see somebody do it in such a suave manner. So yeah, story and structure, I thought it was really good, you know? And the uncle at the end getting hit in the balls, screaming with fire coming out of his mouth. How could you not like that,
He
dude?
turned into like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
dude, that was like one of the best parts for me. I thought that was so cool.
That casserole thing, I'm sorry, that still to me is awesome. The casserole demon is pretty decent special effects though.
That is
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
And
cool,
I wasn't
man.
expecting it either, you know? Like it just it's like one of the first
What?
times things come out of
I had
nowhere.
no clue you're gonna make a casserole demon and just have that thing pop out of a pot.
What about
And be a
when she
hand
threw
puppet.
the worms in the guy's face and that
Yeah,
on his
and they
face?
spread all over.
That looked kind of crazy. Like,
It has another one of those horror tropes, the like overreaction of somebody.
Hell yeah. What about you, Fable? What do you think about the style and structure?
Style, Elvira has style, man. Come on, like even her car is dripped up. Style,
Right?
you know what I mean? Everything, all her outfits are fire through the whole movie, all the way to the end with the tassels. And let me tell you, it wasn't just about her boobs in that scene. I was genuinely impressed with her her control of the tassel. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
I think
He's
I
been
might have
doing
even
that for a
tried
while.
that as a kid. I might have
she
even
goes
put some
one by
strings and been
one,
like,
right?
"Let's see
One
if
by
I can
one
do this."
first. Yeah.
So
It's
no,
impressive.
yeah, it's stylish. Structure, it's like Robbie said, super cookie cutter. I don't get the fish out of water. I get more like the Mary Poppins. Like, you know what I mean? This crazy lady comes into town, changes everybody's life, and at the end, everybody's like, "We love you, Elvira. Don't ever leave." You know what I mean? So, it's just it's one of those, man. But yeah, it's super stylish. I love it.
Absolutely. What about you, Mike? That's your name. What do you think about the style and structure of the film, bro?
So, Mike,
The I did not realize this, but a lot of the people in the film have worked together throughout like different projects. Do you remember the gas station attendant at the very beginning when she was getting gas? And he made some type of crude joke. That's John Paragon. He co-wrote the film.
Oh, wow.
And he was also the voice of.
I think she killed him, or he killed himself.
The thing blew up, I think. But he was the voice of all the of Petrie, Cherry, and on Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Nice.
So, and then there's a thing called Paragon of Comedy, and the Mrs. Poole was on that show with him, and it's like a type of SNL, like one shot little movie, but it's just like apparently like this whole crew had worked together before, so they were just bringing in. It's like, hey, we've all worked together before, so we're bringing in our friends. So that's kind of cool how this got made. It was kind of like I guess dream project for a lot of people, but it was good. It's very campy. It's very I see the fish out of water, and also I get the Mary Poppins aspect of it too. So I mean, but it's a very, very easy, I mean, just two away, Beetlejuice is almost the same thing if you look at it. So, or they just ripped off Beetlejuice in a way, especially with the casserole monster, looked like the snake. But yeah, so I mean, it is what it is. The basic cinematography, basic shots, nothing dramatic. What is it called? It's comedy. Crap. Chevy Chase is good at it. It's you're falling down. I can't remember the term, the name for it. But it's, I guess it would be, yeah, in a way. But it's just all the physical comedy that they did into this. So there was just a lot of that in there. So, but there's a term for the physical comedy. I just went blank on it. But yeah, that's about it.
Word. All right, now let's talk about the music. So the music in the film. So the actual score, there is a little bit of a score. It's generic and it's fine. It does what it does. It's by James B. Campbell. But the soundtrack of the film, right? You got the Mike Pearson Elvira theme going on. I'm a big fan of Once Bitten, Twice Shy, the Shaco version that's in the beginning of this film with the hey, I love all that shit. And then at the very, very end, the Vegas routine, Here I Am. I fucking love that. I think it's got a great like soundtrack to the movie that really helps propel it forward throughout the structure of the film. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about the music of the film?
I like the music of the film. I thought it was like, to me, it sounded very 90s, which I mean, it's late 80s. So they were kind of like moving into that territory. But I liked the songs a lot. They weren't like, I wouldn't say they were spectacular, but they're nostalgic. Like, just the feel, like it just takes me back, to those days when that kind of synth rock was like the big thing. Yeah. And the soundtrack, it's serviceable, like you said, but it's good.
Hell yeah! What about you, Jelani? What do you think?
Yeah, I liked it. I like that little reprise of Shout, and it reminded me of Animal House for some reason. But it's a good little mix of music. It is kind of generic. The score is very generic. It's even got in the sexy bits where she's like changing behind the thing. It plays the sax. It's like
it goes like so over the top with it too, man, which is really funny.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and she's like Like, and when she's in the this reminds me of the beginning when she's at the TV studio and she's like just stopped her boss, but she's changing clothes back there and she's throwing like 30 different like outfits, like different pieces of lingerie.
Like,
I forgot
where's
the
that
music played
underwear
in that,
coming
but I was
from?
like,
She ain't
what?
wearing a fucking bra with that dress, dude.
She ain't wearing like exactly
fucking
not at
way.
all. None. She's got like a bustier on, and like where did that come from? I mean, clearly it goes down to her stomach, and like there's a bustier. Never mind. There's a lot of work there, but it's just like there's music for random reasons in this, which is just it still blows my mind, and it's still it's there, but you know it's not really something I was paying attention to in this movie.
Word.
To
What about
be
you, Perry?
honest.
What you think about the music?
Probably about the same. It parallels the movie, you know, like when there's comedic elements going on, like the music gets that little comedic vibe to it and it really amplifies the scene. And then when it gets to like a more of a dramatic scene, it's dramatic, so you know, it kind of just complements the film. I didn't think it was overly powerful.
Yeah. All right. What about you, Fable? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with what was said. It's serviceable. There's nothing special about it. But I would like to make a compilation one day of all these 80s movies where they put these kind of music videos inside of the movie. You know what I mean? Like Howling 2 and this movie. Anytime they make a music video inside of it, I want to like compile all of those because every 80s movie has one. And I think they should be rated by that. But
Yeah, I think they did make a compilation of that. It was called Rocky 4. Which is nothing but just one big montage, 80s music montage.
The movie.
That's right.
What about you, Mike? What do you think about the music?
I mean, basically everybody here has hit the nail on the head. Like it's pretty generic. It's pretty, it's like I heard it, but it didn't register. Like it added to the humor of it. Like if it was something funny, you would hear like the circusy kind of music. If it was dark and serious, like you had, like it fit the theme of what was going on in the scene. So I mean, I thought it was fun. It just reminded me a lot of the 80s and 90s campy movies. If you remember the music from Problem Child, that's what it reminded me of in a way.
Fucking a Problem Child reference. We got Doc Hollywood and Problem Child referenced. I think we're putting together the 2024 PCP movie night list right now, y'all. Yeah, who knows? All right, this movie is saying something, as all movies do, especially in the 80s. There is a theme, and usually it's up to you what you pull out of the film, because we like to dig. You dig? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Brooks, what's this movie saying to you, my man?
I think a big lesson from this movie is that you can win anybody, just about anybody over, if you're just cool about it. Because these, like the parents, like the whole fucking morality club and shit. Like these people are such fucking squares, dude. They're like so self-righteous and like I just hated them so fucking much. But in the end, like even they came over, to the Elvira side. And it's like it's just about if you're cool, and you have the charisma, like people will just come to you regardless of whether they think you're a pinko heavy metal weirdo at first.
Hell yeah. What about you, Delaney? What's this movie speaking to you?
This is what it reminds me of Doc Hollywood and Footloose. That's what it is. Something about those two movies. It's just that small town hick nature. But it's kind of what Brooke said too. I mean, charisma will get you every time. Something about Elvira. She draws people in. There's something about her power. Like she has her own power, and it's not just her boobs. It's just the way she is, the way she carries herself in this film does win you over. It's just something about her that is other than the fact she can't cook for shit. She has
I don't know, that one casserole at that picnic seemed pretty fucking righteous, bro.
I'm talking about the first one. I'm talking about the first one. But yeah, it's just one of those things. And also, like, yeah, I mean, we are kind of digging with this one. I mean, it's not that much for me to see, but it's basically the power of it's the power of positivity, because you can get through pretty much any situation if you're positive about it. And she does that in such a way, and her charisma does pull that through in such a beautiful way. It just works really well.
One more character to highlight that I forgot about was the dude who is the husband of the wife who owns the hotel.
Hotel.
I'll show her to your room. No, you
She
won't.
looks mustard off his ear.
Oh, when she licked his ear, when she put the mustard on his ear, I was like, oh,
Yeah, put the mustard
You're
on
free.
his ear.
You're a freak. I got
She's
really
last
fucking
holdout,
excited.
too. She's like, hold up a second. He's like, shut up, you old bat.
What about you, Perry? What's this movie speaking to you, my friend?
It's about, to me, I think that hotel scene like really like amplifies it right there when they're arguing and she's hitting the bell. Like, she's not afraid to be herself in any situation, whether her hood gets blown off and an entire small town surrounds her. She's just genuinely herself in every situation. She's confident about herself. She doesn't have to conform to society's norms, that she could just be an individual and be content with herself. And I think that's it's a good way to live your life, you know?
Hell yeah, absolutely. What about you, Fable? What do you think?
I like that. That's really good. I would say, I mean, the obvious to me is don't judge a book by its cover. I think this is just a literal of that, you know, like everybody's judging Elvira because she's the way she is. She judges the town herself, right? Like, she thinks the town is uptight, and by the end, she's like, oh, you guys are really okay. You know what I mean? Even Bob, like, he's a hunk, but he's not your typical hunk because he's scared of Elvira. You know what I mean? He's not all over. So I would say don't judge a book by its cover. There's a lot of examples of it in here. I mean, look at the dog, right? You see the little poodle, and you're like, you can't do nothing. Hey, that poodle could turn into a Rottweiler. You know what I mean? Kill your ass. But anyway, yeah, that's what I would say.
Hell yeah. What about you, Mike? What's this movie speaking to you?
Always believe in yourself and follow your dreams. So she didn't give up on herself. She wanted to do what she wanted to do, and she did it, and nothing could stop her. So she controlled her. Because I mean, it's full of, you know, boob jokes, and she was groped a lot, and, you know, almost sold the house in 6 inches. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just like she didn't take shit from anybody, and she stood up for herself, and she stood up for others, especially the kids. Like, they were just getting, like, they were the little man, you know. She was the voice of the voiceless. She stood up and fought for the people that needed it.
Yeah, and especially those kids. Elvira's all about the kids, just like
The footloose
Wu-Tang,
part.
right?
Yeah.
The great
They
scene
done
was like
fuck
when
with.
she first shows up at the hotel, and you know, like the daughter comes out and her mom's like ragging her about her makeup, and how Elvira's just sitting there rolling her eyes, like you know, you can tell she's relating to the kid and being like, I wish this old bitch would shut up.
Yeah.
Right.
She even says, you know, I went through the same thing when I was a kid. Of course, I was 8. Is what she said.
I love baby Elvira too.
Yes.
Oh, baby Elvira, yeah. Shout out to
Baby Elvira. That's insane. That was insane. I laughed so hard.
You know what
Full
I laughed?
makeup.
When she was in the town, she was like, why is everybody treating me like this? And Bob was like, Chastity. And he said her whole entire name, Chastity something. She's like,
Pariah.
I got rid of that.
Pariah.
Yeah, she was like, I
What a
thought I
weird
got rid of
fucking
that a few
name.
months
I
ago.
thought I cleared that up.
Yeah, I thought I cleared that up or something like that.
Chastity Pariah.
Y'all have all hit the nail on the head, man. It is about being yourself, being your authentic self, even in the face of adversity. No matter what the world throws at you, you just be unabashedly you, and there you go. But it is, to me, a scathing criticism of right-wing Christian conservatism of the 80s in particular, which still actually, I think, infects our culture today. The name of the town is Falwell, y'all. The name of the town is
Morality
Falwell.
Club.
Yeah.
It's called the fucking
That
Morality
is a
Club.
name. Yeah.
And it's the Morality Club. And Mike was
Yeah.
talking to me today about like the place where Falwell had his university, and it's this town where they're afraid to like have
Liberty.
like like bars and shit because like the presence of Jerry Falwell was over them and shit like that, right? So it is about that. It's about this prudish sense of morality and superiority and self-righteousness that comes from people who really just want to let their freak flag fucking fly, right? And so to me, the ultimate theme of the whole movie is this: let your freak flag fly. Because that's who the fuck you are. We are all goddamn freaks. We all have addictions. We all have fetishes. We all are fucked up, right? None of us are better than the other. We're all fucking freaks. So let's embrace that shit and dive into it. And let's just try to be fucking happy. How about that? Let's just try to be fucking happy instead of just trying to like put each other down to make each other feel better. Like it's going to make me feel better to put you down because I think you're better. Like I'm better than you. That's some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Elvira knew this shit in 1988. Maybe we could still learn this lesson now. Fucking almost 30 years later, over 30 years later. Like Jesus Christ, y'all. Let's get over this, right? Let's let those freak flags fucking fly. Be your authentic self. That's what's going to make you soar in this world. That's what I think. All right.
Oh, yeah. And boobs.
And boobs. And boobs. Boobs are a big deal. Hey, what's up, Chris? How you doing, my man? Good to see you. All right. Time to rate the film. You out there in the chat, out of 5 possible you digs. And for tonight, we're going to change the you dig to the ya boob. So out of 5 possible ya boobs, what do you out there in the chat give Elvira Mistress of the Dark? And Brooks, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, it's like I really enjoyed this movie. I wouldn't say it's perfect. I'd give it 4.5 ya boobs. It's like I laughed so hard in this movie, like, and I was not expecting, for it to have held up as well as it did. Like it's just, it is for what it is. It's just a fun, like, comedy. Like, late 80s, early 90s style comedy. And, for what it is, I think it does it better than than most other movies did.
Hell yeah. All right. What about you, Jelani? What do you think? How many ya boobs do you give this movie out of 5?
That's a lot of boobs, man. Yeah. You know what? At the end, I was kind of mad until, the tassel saved it. Right at the very end. So I'm going to give this 3.5 you boobs. I love 3.5 you boobs. I like this movie. I'll watch it again. Solid. It's a crazy solid fun. It's boobtastic, my friends. It is one of those. It's very titular character. Titillates my tits. Yeah. Boobs.
Titillates my tits. Quote of the day right there. Next time they put this shit on 4K, they better put that on the back of the Blu-ray. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
All right, Perry, what about you? Out of 5 you boobs, what do you give Elvira Mistress of the Dark?
The fact that I watched this with my girl and she didn't fall asleep when she always falls asleep during movies, and that she looked at me multiple times and said she liked it, and I quickly went to see if I could get the Blu-ray because I do want to rewatch this. I want to dive into the little Elvira world. I'm gonna give it a solid 5 out of 5 boobies.
Damn.
Yeah. It's just like rewatchability is like my highest marker. So if you could get me to buy a Blu-ray, it's a 5 all day. So
all right, then.
Straight 5 for me.
Hell yeah, man! A perfect score from Perry. What about you, Fable?
I mean, at the end of the day, it really is just a cookie cutter comedy. But Elvira's such a vibe, right? That's what I talk when I talk about Elvira. I talk about that she's such a vibe. Like when I was talking to Link about it, he was like, oh, I'm curious. I said, listen, Link, it's not the greatest comedy you're ever gonna see in your life, but if you're into her, Elvira, gonna have a good time watching the movie, you know what I mean? Because she's a vibe. So I would say 3.5 your boobies, but Robbie said something. You add a 0.5, right, my brother? Because
that's right. It's Horrorfest, baby.
Horrorfest, and I love Cassandra Peterson. Love you, girl. For your boobies.
For your boobies.
Yeah.
Fucking Fable. Hell yeah.
Smack them around. That's right.
What about you, Mike?
I mean, this movie's solid. It's got great rewatchability. I'm surprised I haven't. It took me so long to rewatch it, but it's a fun movie. It's a fun one for all Horrorfest every year. I mean, it's campy, it's slapsticky. I mean, it's generic, but there's something about it that makes it stand out, that makes it iconic. Besides being Elvira, there's something more to it. But I'll give it a for you boobies.
All right, a 4.
There you
All
go.
right.
Oh yeah.
Some nice scores
Damn it,
across
y'all
the board.
Hold on. You're making me change it. I will go 4. I'm changing
Oh, nice! Hell yeah!
I'm changing it to
That's
4.
amazing.
I mean, you're right. You're absolutely, y'all are right. Like, since I heard, I was like, I like it. I do. But like, there's so much in it that's just so much fun. It's just a fun movie, and like, it's surprising how fun it is. So yeah, I'm going back. I do 4.
All right. We'll allow that
yeah.
tonight. You know, that's fine. That's fine. For me, I love this movie so much. The nostalgia of it, the nostalgia of the movie and of the character of Elvira herself.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Cassandra Peterson. The best Dynamite comics are the Elvira books right now, in my opinion. Everything attached to her has always just warmed my fucking heart and warmed other parts of my body as well. So I am a huge fan, and I don't think, especially during Horrorfest, I can give this movie anything other than 4.69, dudes.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? So a 4.69 from me, a 4.5 from Brooks, a 4 from Jelani, a 5 from Perry, a 4 from Fable, and a 4 from Mike. That's a PCP average of 4.39. 69, dudes. Sounds like we recommend Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. And if you made it an hour into this show, you haven't seen this movie, what's wrong with you? You'd already be 2/3 of the way through Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Then come back and watch this.
Yeah, I was so scared that you guys are going to be lower than me. Like, I was trying to be the highest grade.
What was
and
the
you guys
movie
are,
last
like, higher
year?
than me.
What was the movie last year we were all so scared of? Was it New Nightmare or was it Freddy's? It was Freddy's Dead. It was Freddy's Dead. It was, we were all like, now I know everybody's going to hate this movie. Everybody said that. Like, everybody's like, I know everybody's going to hate this movie, but I love it. And everybody said that. Then we were like, at the end, we were like, fuck, we all love Freddy's Dead so much, man. Like, the fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Love this movie. Thus concludes our movie review for Elvira. But y'all, we are just getting started for Horrorfest. Horrorfest continues this week, Thursday night on Verno's channel, Blood Splatter Chatter, talking about, I think from the same year, 1988, The Blob remake, which is super, super fun. On Dylan's Horror Show, Saturday night, he's got to have a Stephen King movie. He chose Cujo this week, but next week, y'all, I am so excited for next week because it will be Brooks's first time watching Sleepaway Camp. And nobody has told him shit about this movie yet.
Oh, good. Keep it quiet.
I am very excited. Sleepaway Camp next week. We're in the 80s right now with Elvira. We're going to continue that with Cujo and The Blob, but we're going to really get to one of the most gnarly, iconic, and fucking awesome 80s horror movies of all time with Sleepaway Camp, part of the Camp Slasher trilogy, Friday the 13th, The Burning, and Sleepaway Camp. So, Thursday night, The Blob on Blood Splatter Chatter. Saturday night, Cujo on Dylan's Horror Show. And next week here on PCP Movie Night, Sleepaway Camp. We got a great panel lined up. Felissa Rose is a friend. I'll call her a friend. Why not? But like, oh my goodness, I fucking love this movie. Cannot wait. Brooks, watch it as soon as possible.
Please.
Like, I cannot wait to get your...
I'm working on it.
Cannot wait to get your authentic reaction to that one. All right, Brooks, thank you for being here. Final thoughts, my man.
Just being this a goober here, and we have this thing called Go Figure Reviews that we do. It might be worth checking out. We did a pretty nice house tour a little while back. It was like nice collection, very fun. But to close off, I'd say like Elvira puts the boo in boobs.
Nice.
That's a good one.
I like that. All right, Jelani, final thoughts. Thank you for being here, my man.
Yeah, man. As usual, you know, titties, boobs, you dig?
Rack them up.
Boobs. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
All right.
And
Perry.
watch Go Figure reviews.
Thank you
Yeah.
for being here, man. Final thoughts, bro.
Elvira slaps, you know. I wish I would have done a reaction to it because I'm doing a bunch of like horror reactions for October, and a bunch of like edited movie stuff. So you don't look up for that. And if you don't know how to watch Sleepaway Camp, I have the entire movie up on Perry Comics. So you just sit there. And
They still ain't
watch
pulled
it.
that down?
They still haven't pulled it down.
Wow.
Yes, I think it's been like 2 years
Holy
now. So
crap.
yeah.
Perry's just like collecting the pennies.
Yep.
I'll take them. They all add up.
Hell yeah. Speaking of adding up, Fable, thank you so much for being here, man. What you got coming up? I know you got a big deal on Saturday, bro.
Yeah, this Saturday is going to be the last show of Blame Fable and his amazing friends with Nick Comic Culture. But the last show on IG because we are moving to YouTube, guys.
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
But it's still going to be a bittersweet moment because all my relationships, everything, all of you guys, the PCP Army Bad Batch, everybody, I went through IG. You know what I mean? And people show me a lot of love over there, a lot of love. And I hate leaving them high and dry, but it's okay because my man Stu and my man Missing Link, they're doing their thing over there still. So, yeah, come join us this Saturday, 1 p.m. It's just a hangout, no news. I mean, we could talk about stuff, but I don't have no structure. It's just straight up. If you've been a part of the show, if you've watched the show, if you just got love for me, Nick, or Brother Joe, come hang out. Come chill. Come be in that chat. You know what I mean? Or even jump on because I'm trying to rotate. So, yeah, this Saturday, final IG episode, Blame Fable. Come check it out, guys.
Hell yeah. It's going to be epic, bro. Going to be absolutely epic. Are you going to be on Verno's show on Thursday?
Yes, sir. The Blob, man. Come on, man.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That's a crazy
That's a
movie.
good movie,
better.
man.
That
Me and
movie
Dylan
gets
did
better
that.
with time, doesn't it?
Me and Dylan did that like a year or two ago, and I wasn't looking forward to it because I do love the original with Steve McQueen. But man, that remake is something else
Remake
too.
is good.
That whole sink scene
Yeah.
is so fucking gnarly and badass, dude. I fucking love it.
That
Man.
thing still scares the shit out of me to this day.
Plus,
I
it's
saw it as a little kid, and it was
it's
still
old
scary.
dude from Entourage, Johnny, whatever the fuck his name was, right? Like whatever. Like it's just funny to actually fuck, dude. You are the Dylan brother that was in like a couple of movies back in the day, right?
It ages really
Matt
well,
Dillon.
man. It just
Was that Matt? No.
It's not Matt. I think it's the other one.
It's Dylan.
That
Johnny
was the guy from
Dillon.
Gunsmoke.
Drama.
Jake
Johnny
Dillon.
Drama. Yeah, Johnny Drama. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
I can't
Speaking of
remember.
drama, Mike, thank you for being here, man. Final thoughts?
Thanks for having me. It was fun. If you really liked Elvira, I recommend you checking out Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls coming to theaters in October 19th. It's a pretty funny movie that's very similar to the horror comedy. Great soundtrack, great cast. Definitely worth checking out come this October.
Cool. Because when you first said Onyx, I was thinking slam, da 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 da. Let the boys be boys. Anyway, thank you all so much. Join us next week for Sleepaway Camp. This is the first real. This is the first real one for Horrorfest this year, in my opinion, man. I'm so fucking pumped for this.
Wild.
But do check out Verno and the crew over at Blood Splatter Chatter for the Blob on Thursday. Check out Dylan and the crew over on Dylan's Horror Show on Saturday for Cujo. And then back here next week for Sleepaway Camp, y'all. And I'm just going to end it with this. If anybody ever asks about me, tell them that I was more than just a great set of boobs. That was also an incredible pair of legs. And tell them that I never turned down a friend. I never turned down for a stranger for that matter. And tell them that when all is said and done, I only ask that people remember me by two simple words. Any two. As long as they're simple. Station, y'all. Pop, pop, boom, baby.